to our 5 on 5. We're pleased to be joined by Brad Hicks, the President and CEO of the Medford Jackson County Chamber of Commerce. Brad, great to see you.
Good to see you too, thanks.
All right, our pleasure. So tell us, you recently made a trip to China. Tell us about that.
Well, I did, but I wasn't by myself. We took 83 community and chamber members with us on a first ever chamber trip to Beijing, Shanghai, Hangzhou, and Shouju.
Wow, 83 people. That's
83 people.
That's quite a trip. You could practically charter a plane. I'm assuming you didn't do that.
No, two actually.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So what was the purpose of this trip?
Well, I would say multi-purpose. There were immediate, I suppose, goals, and that was just to have a cultural and a tourism sort of exchange, where we would expose residents of Southern Oregon to what life is like in China as we continue to develop more relationships there. Obviously, being the Chamber of Commerce, we're interested in economic relationships, but we're also Travel Medford at the Chamber, so we're very interested in the Chinese tourist.
And that they have shown an interest in Oregon and even Southern Oregon specifically, right?
They have, and much of that's been cultivated by Governor Kitzhaber in his last two terms, and then again in this term. And our own Representative Dennis Richardson has done a lot to advance our sister state relationship with the Fujian province, which actually was started, I think, in 1984. But I can't say there was a lot done with it, at least not to my knowledge, and Dennis really has ramped that up. So, and then locally, we're part of, or we've been kind of a helping hand to a group called the Southern Oregon China Connection, which has hosted visitors, business and government leaders from China. And so it just felt like the momentum was there. And then I guess I'd be remiss not if I didn't mention the Confucius School at St. Mary's. That was the very first program of its kind in the United States, and it's been very successful. That was followed then by a program that modeled it at the University of Oregon. So now there's a Confucius School at U of O. So there just were, I guess, a handful of reasons, really. Economic reasons. There are about 1,000 companies in Oregon right now that are exporting to China. Wow. So China is Oregon's #1 export partner. And it isn't to say that Southern Oregon is left out of that, but our job is to search for opportunities, and so we thought it was time to go take a look and start building relationships, at least on a friend level. And what better way than to take 83 of your closest friends to China?
Why not? Right?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
I want to ask you how you guys were able to pay for this trip, but we're going to take a quick break first. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Brad Hicks, the President and CEO of the Medford Jackson County Chamber of Commerce. So we're talking about this trip. 83 people in your party went.
Yeah.
How did you guys afford this? Who paid for this?
That's a good question. I didn't.
I should hope not for your sake.
Very, very expensive. Well, I don't know if you've ever traveled with, your parents and your grandparents and your cousins from down the road or not. It can be challenging. So logistically,
not 83 of them, I'll tell you what.
to travel with 83 people is, could be a logistical nightmare. But the company that we work with, called SitsLink, does nothing but trips to China for chambers of commerce. Now that sounds like a niche, and it is. But the president of that company, very connected in China, both in business and in government, but also connected here in the United States for a very long time with chambers of commerce, and created this relationship. So, good question. People want to know how we went so affordably, including Representative Dennis Richardson and Frank Phillips, because they're spending about double when they go. It's partially subsidized by the Chinese government because they want American business people to come see.
You travel with them, sure.
That China's open for American business and vice versa. And cultural exchange, as I mentioned before. So it's partially subsidized by the Chinese government, but then there are also businesses that partially subsidize it, not unlike, say, a cruise ship.
Oh, okay.
So when you stop at the port, they have their recommended vendors, and it gets a little sales pitchy from time to time. But by the same token, you're not obligated to buy anything.
Right. Yeah, it was only $2,000 for 9 days per person.
Yeah.
That's airfare, really. I mean, that's incredible.
It really is. We talked to people that were paying between $1,000 and $1,500 just for their airfare.
Yeah.
And I suppose you could find a better deal out there somewhere. But on
Yeah, right.
on average,
yeah, sure.
it's not too much more than just airfare. But this was round trip airfare, accommodations, and I'm going to tell you that it was. Well, they call it 7-star, but it was certainly 4 or 5-star accommodations.
Wow.
Two of the hotels we stayed in were easily two of the nicest hotels I've stayed in, probably in my life.
Yeah. Wow.
They were really over the top. Amazing architecture.
Yeah, very different as
everywhere.
well. Yeah.
That we could do a whole other segment, probably
right.
just on the architecture.
Well, and I know we would talk about some of the photos and everything,
Yeah.
and now people can find a link to the Shutterfly off of the Medford Chamber's website. What is the website?
Correct. Medfordchamber.com, www, obviously.
Sure.
You go there, and then I think you do a search, probably just for China, take you to the China page, and I think from there you can go to a Shutterfly account that one of our staff members set up, and every member of the trip can go to the Shutterfly account and share their photos.
Wow.
So if somebody in the community was interested in seeing what we
see it
saw,
all right there. Yeah. That's so cool. I wish we had more time, Brad. It's great to see you.
I do too. We'll do it again.
Thank you. Of course. Yeah. Stay with us.
Thanks.
We'll be right back.